greed, is familiar to all of us. We can find its story in Shakespeare, in the Bible, and in the morning newspaper. Sometimes we find it in the people we know, or even in ourselves. In the England of 600 years ago, Geoffrey Chaucer wrote about greed and many other human failings. He chronicled them brilliantly and with great humor in his narrative poem about everyday medieval life, the Canterbury Tales. The Pardoner's Tale, one of the 24 tales within the Canterbury Tales, is told by a pardoner, a clergyman of that time licensed to preach and sell pardons for sins. You are about to watch a 1984 British television production of The Pardoner's Tale. It is narrated by Academy Award-winning actor Sir John Gielgud.
It's of 3 rioters I have to tell.
Observe some of the ways this story was adapted for film. Notice no actor plays the part of the pardoner. One actor plays 3 characters, including Death. And the village setting is true to Chaucer's time, but the actors are dressed in modern clothes.
If we can only catch him.
As you watch, consider how the film highlights the timelessness of The Pardoner's Tale and its revelations about the dark and darkly comic sides of human nature.
It's of 3 rioters I have to tell, who, long before the morning service bell, were sitting in a tavern for a drink. And as they sat, they heard the handbell clink before a coffin going to the grave. One of them called the little tavern knave and said,
"Go and find out at once. Look, Spry, whose corpse is in that coffin passing by? Look, you get the name correctly, too."
Sir,
said the boy.
no need, I promise you. 2 hours before you came here, I was told. He was a friend of yours in days of old. And suddenly, last night, the man was slain. Upon his bench, face up, dead drunk again. There came a privy thief, they call him Death, who kills us all round here, and in a breath he speared him through the heart. He never stirred. And then Death went his way without a word. He's killed 1,000 in the present plague, and sir, it doesn't do to be too vague if you should meet him. You had best be wary. Be on your guard with such an adversary. Be primed to meet him everywhere you go. That's what my mother said. That's all I know.
The publican joined in with,
"By St. Mary, what the boy says is right. You had best be wary. This very year he killed, in a large village a mile away, man, woman, serf at tillage, page in the household, children, all there were. Yes, I imagine that he lives round there. It's well to be prepared in these alarms. He might do you dishonor."
God's arms.
the rioter said,
Is he so fierce to meet? I'll search for him by Jesus, street by street. God's blessed bones, I'll register a vow. Here, chaps, the 3 of us, together. Now, hold up your hands like me, and we'll be brothers in this affair, and each defend the others, and we will kill this traitor Death, I say. Away with him, as he has made away with all our friends. God's dignity, tonight.
They made their bargain, swore with appetite these 3 to live and die for one another, as brother born might swear to his born brother. And up they started in their drunken rage and made towards this village, which the page and publican had spoken of before. Many and grisly were the oaths they swore, tearing Christ's blessed body to a shred.
If we can only catch him. Death is dead!
When they had gone not fully half a mile, just as they were about to cross a stile, they came upon a very poor old man who humbly greeted them and thus began.
"God look to you, my lords, and give you quiet."
To which the proudest of these men of riot gave back the answer,
What, old fool? Give place! Why are you all wrapped up except your face? Why live so long? Isn't it time to die?
The old fellow looked him in the eye and said,
"Because I never yet have found, though I have walked to India, searching round village and city on my pilgrimage, one who would change his youth to have my age. And so my age is mine, and must be still upon me for such time as God may will. Not even death, alas, will take my life. So, like a wretched prisoner at strife within himself, I walk alone and wait about the earth, which is my mother's gate. Knocking with my staff from night to noon, and crying, Mother, open to me soon. Look at me, Mother, won't you let me in? See how I wither flesh and blood and skin. Alas, when will these bones be laid to rest? Mother, I would exchange for that were best the wardrobe in my chamber, standing there so long for yours. Aye, for a shirt of hair to wrap me in. She has refused her grace. Whence comes the pallor of my withered face? But it dishonored you when you began to speak so roughly, sir, to an old man, unless he had injured you in word or deed. It says in Holy Writ, as you may read, Thou shalt rise up before the hoary head and honor it. And therefore, be it said, do no more harm to an old man than you, being young, would have another do when you are old. If you should live till then. And so may God be with you, gentlemen, for I must go whither I have to go.
By God, the gambler said.
You shan't do so. You don't get off so easy, by St. John. I heard you mention just a moment gone a certain traitor, Death, who singles out and kills the fine young fellows hereabout, and you're his spy, by God. You wait a bit. Say where he is, or you shall pay for it by God and by his holy sacrament. I say you who joined together by consent to kill us younger folk. You thieving swine!
Well, sir,
He said,
if it be your design to find out Death, turn up this crooked way toward that grove. I left him there today, under a tree, and there you'll find him waiting. He isn't one to hide for all your prating. You see that oak? He won't be far to find. And God protect you that redeemed mankind. Aye, and amend you.
thus that ancient man. At once, the three young rioters began to run and reached the tree, and there they found a pile of golden florins on the ground. New coined, 8 bushels of them, as they thought. No longer was it death those fellows sought, for they were all so thrilled to see the sight. The florins were so beautiful and bright that down they sat beside the precious pile. The wickedest spoke first after a while.
Brothers,
He said,
you will listen to what I say. I'm pretty sharp, although I joke away. It's clear that fortune has bestowed this treasure to let us live in jollity and pleasure. Light come, light go. We'll spend it as we ought. God's precious dignity, who would have thought this morning was to be our lucky day? If only we could get the gold away back to my house, or else to yours, perhaps. For as you know, the gold is ours, chaps. We'd all be at the top of fortune, eh? But certainly it can't be done by day. People would call us robbers, a strong gang, so our own property would make us hang. No, we must bring this treasure back by night, some prudent way, and keep it out of sight. And so, as a solution, I propose we draw for lots and see the way it goes. Whoever draws the longest, lucky man, shall run to town as quickly as he can to fetch us bread and wine, but keep things dark, while 2 remain in hiding here to mark our heap of treasure. If there's no delay, when night comes down, we'll carry it away, all 3 of us, wherever we have planned.
He gathered lots and hid them in his hand, bidding them draw for where the luck should fall. It fell upon the youngest of them all, and off he ran at once towards the town. As soon as he had gone, the first sat down and thus began a parley with the other.
You know that you can trust me as a brother. Now, let me tell you where your profit lies. You know our friend has gone to get supplies, and here's a heap of gold that is to be divided equally amongst us 3. Nevertheless, if I could shape things thus so that we shared it out in the two of us, wouldn't you take it as a friendly act?
But how? The other said.
He knows the fact that all the gold's left with me and you. What can we tell him? What are we to do?
Is it a bargain?
Said the first.
Or no? For I can tell you in a word or so what's to be done to bring this thing about.
Trust me.
The other said.
You needn't doubt my word. I won't betray you. I'll be true.
Well,
Said his friend.
you see that we are two, and two are twice as powerful as one. Now look, when he comes back, get up in fun to have a wrestle. Then, as you attack, I'll up and put my dagger through his back while you in here struggling, as in a game. Then draw your dagger too, and do the same. Then all this money will be ours to spend, divided equally, of course, dear friend. Then we can gratify our lusts and fill the day with dicing at our own sweet will.
Thus these two miscreants agreed to slay the third and youngest, as you heard me say. The youngest, as he ran towards the town, kept turning over, rolling up and down within his heart the beauty of those bright new florins, saying,
Lord, to think I might have all that treasure to myself alone. Could there be anyone beneath the throne of God so happy as I then should be?
And so the fiend, our common enemy, was given power to put it in his thought that there was always poison to be bought, and that with poison he could kill his friends. To men in such a state, the devil sends thoughts of this kind, and has a full permission to lure them on to sorrow and perdition. For this young man was utterly content to kill them both and never to repent. And on he ran, he had no thought to tarry, came to the town, found an apothecary, and said,
Sell me some poison, if you will. I have a lot of rats I want to kill. And there's a polecat, too, about the yard that takes my chickens, and it hits me hard. But I'll get even, as is only right, with vermin that destroy a man by night.
The chemist answered,
I have a preparation which you shall have. And by my soul's salvation, if any living creature eat or drink a mouthful, ere he have the time to think, though he took less than makes a grain of wheat, you see him fall down dying at your feet. Yes, die he must, and in so short a while, you'll scarcely have the time to walk a mile. The poison is so strong, you understand?
This cursed fellow grabbed into his hand the box of poison, and away he ran into a neighboring street and found a man who lent him 3 large bottles. He withdrew and deftly poured the poison into 2. He kept the third one clean, as well he might, for his own drink, meaning to work all night stacking the gold and carrying it away. And when this rioter, this devil's clay, had filled his bottles up with wine, all 3, back to rejoin his comrades, sauntered he. Why make a sermon of it? Why waste breath? Exactly in the way they planned his death, they fell on him and slew him 2 to 1. Then said the first of them, when this was done,
Now for a drink. Sit down and let's be merry. For later on, there'll be the corpse to bury.
and as it happened, reaching for a sup, he took a bottle full of poison up and drank, and his companion, nothing loath, drank from it also, and they perished both. There is in Avicenna's long relation concerning poison and its operation, trust me, no ghastlier section to transcend what these 2 wretches suffered at their end. Thus these 2 murderers received their due. So did the treacherous young poisoner too.